Howdy, folks. I'm Dan Franklin.
And I'm Stephanie Wall, and together we are
Franklin Wall, and you're listening to Hank Jr.
on Hank's Corner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr., part of Hank Jr. Productions, where I'm documenting life's moments through photography, videography, and now podcasting. And tonight, I'm so excited on my podcast. I have two people that make up a duo, which are the hottest duo, I think, right now that are coming out. Please welcome Stephanie Wall, Dan Franklin. Together, they are Franklin Wall. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hi,
Thank you so much.
We're doing good. How are you?
Oh, I am doing well. And I usually when I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing well because it's evening time. I'm relaxing. But you guys are out there in California, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We are. We're here in California.
So you're just barely getting to the evening part. So you probably haven't had a chance to relax yet.
Not yet, but you know what? It's fun sitting around talking about our music. Like this is relaxing for us.
Sure.
Just to like chill and chat. It's nice.
Well, I'm glad to get that even started that way. And so is California your home? And where in part of California?
Yeah, it is. You know, we're right now we're in Huntington Beach. I live out in Corona, but we kind of go everywhere.
Yeah.
So our home base is really anywhere in the Southland.
Yeah, Southern California. Yeah.
You poor things out there right now, I tell you. But I'm broadcasting. But I'm broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, so I get the pleasure of that too. I mean, we had a little bit of a cold front that came by, but for the most part, we love the winters here. It's not too hot, and so I can't make fun of you too much because it's kind of the same here.
Hurricanes and earthquakes. I mean,
pick your poison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and speaking about being out there in California, I know that there's a couple of artists that I've had on my podcast before, and actually one of them, what angle is it? I photographed her there. You've recently got to meet Presley Tennant and Payton Howie. Tell me a little bit about that. I guess that was during the Supporting Spark of Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we were at the California Country Show at House of
Christmas
Blues.
Concert, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a canned food drive, kind of a charity thing that they put together, and both of those artists, definitely got my attention that night. Payton just came out and just lit the stage on fire, and
she knows how to rock, that's for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, and then Presley's energy is just so like electric. She's such a sweetheart, and she came out. She did how great that was.
Yeah, she came out with a hymn. And the whole place is singing it.
It was stunning.
Gorgeous.
And she's just such a ray of sunlight anyway. And so it was fun to chat with them afterwards and have them, they both had heard our stuff already and we were kind of on their radar. So we connected with them, and Presley and I have been chatting on Instagram, and, we're kind of like having this little blonde sisterhood moment thing. And she's up on their billboard now. And so it's been really good, like actually connecting with her and getting to know her better. And Payton's
out in Texas, but we definitely want to, when she's out here the next time, we definitely
trying to book some doubles.
Try to book something.
Yeah.
And I described you guys as, one of the fastest rising duos. And I do believe that. That's just not talk here for the podcast. But, also Presley and Payton are just killing it right now. And, anytime I get a chance to see them, I like to do that. And actually, Presley's going to be doing a takeover here on Hank's Corner not too long from right now. So that'll be live later on in the month, and you guys can check that out.
For sure.
So tell me, how did the concept of Franklin Wall? I mean, obviously it comes from your names, but how did that come about? You guys decided to get together and do that?
Well, so we've been friends for over a decade. We've been playing in different bands. 12 years now.
Yeah, we met doing a show at a little theme park in Anaheim, California that no one's heard of, really. Something about a mouse, but
yeah, my wife is a huge mouse fan, shall we say, and we spent a lot of time seeing the mouse over here in Florida.
There you go.
I have no doubt. There was a little rock and roll show out here called the Mad Tea Party that we
really started playing together. During we developed this friendship, and so we've seen each other through a ton of stuff, through having babies and going to Broadway, and it's been a wild decade. And then obviously COVID happened, and we started our own little like talk show on YouTube, and continue to stay close through that. And then coming out of COVID
we've been producing movies together.
Oh yeah, we did movies.
We've been just the the scope of web series, like the scope of art that we have created is just pretty intense.
Yeah. And it's been definitely, everything's been an adventure. So then coming out of COVID, you know, everybody went through a hard time, be it personal or work-wise, and artists especially, you know. And so Dan asked me for a meeting, and he was like, hey, can we get together, and would you want to write with me? And I was like, yes, very, very close friend of well over a decade. Yes, we should be writing together, but I got to warn you, whenever I write, it really feels like country. I don't know if you're into that. And he was like, I spent 6 years. How many years have you spent in Nashville?
Long time.
Yeah, he was like, I spent a long time in Nashville. Like he's been there and come back from it, and he is very well tied to country music, and it's in my bones. And he was like, yeah, I love that idea. So we took a meeting. And then even before the meeting happened, we were talking on this video chatting app called Marco Polo. And that's how the song Wild was born. But I was venting to him about this kind of failed date that I went on. And I was like, you know, shouldn't I be wild about this guy? He seems like the perfect guy. And Dan, he was like, I think there's a song there. Can you meet tomorrow? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. So we met that next day, and Wild was born. And then we've been just kind of at not a frenzied pace, but we've really been hitting the ground hard ever since, because you know, the momentum's been picking up, which we're just grateful that people like what we're doing, you know.
Yeah,
definitely. And you know, you mentioned Shouldn't I Be Wild, which we'll be playing later on here in the podcast. That's part of your debut album called Magic and Madness, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And how did you come up with that name?
Well, that happened because you know, we're writing this. Our goal was a 5-song EP, and we wanted to get it out pretty quick. And I knew what, you know, for the whole album, I was like, okay, I want this kind of song here. I want this kind of song here. And I want to close this EP with a big, you know, ballad, a big Lone Star Amazed.
Faith in Tim, like a big old soaring ballad.
Right. But the problem with that is that, you know, we don't want to just, you know, write some kind of, you know, trite, you know, just kind of
banal, like
vague,
meaningless love song.
We're story people. And so, you know, we kind of came up with the story in Magic and Madness, the song, the ballad of, you know, a girl who has been hurt in the past, and she's trying to move on, and this guy who
the girl is very we came from a very honest place with it, you know, like we were just kind of brutal in our writing,
right?
You know, and just being, you know, we didn't want to set out to write some fluffy love song that didn't feel real to us. And that's what country music's about, right? It's being honest, telling your story. So Dan was really generous with me and letting me, you know, give my perspective on kind of where I was at with love. I'm a single mom of 2, and you know, lots of there. But he let me write a girl's perspective on the song from really where I am, honestly.
And about, you know, about her being scared to, you know, to get into something new, and you know, that you know, the new thing that she was experiencing was incredible, but it was also, you know, terrifying her. You know, it's magic and it's madness to think that she could move on
and fall in love again, you know. So that became the title of the ballad. And then I'm really excited for that one to come out. That one's going to be released last of the 5, because it's kind of like the grand finale of the EP, I suppose.
Yeah, so we're going to keep waiting for that one. But you know, you already just released, though, February 8th, My Girl. So we get to listen to that. That's doing pretty well. Tell us a little bit about that song.
It's your song, so you go. You say.
I will. So that's actually a tune. You know, I've been writing songs for, I don't know, all of the years since the Triassic
since he came
era.
out of the womb.
And this is a tune that I wrote over a decade ago with my dear friend Roger Malinowski, who now operates a bluegrass festival out here in Ontario called the Huck Finn Jubilee. But we wrote it when we were playing with an artist named Drew Davis, and it's just kind of a fun tune about a girl who is just, she is just like one of the guys. She's just a total badass, and she can drink you under the table. She'll outswear you. She'll, you know, she'll just party till the cows come home. And so we wrote that tune, And then and it was great, but it wasn't quite there. And then when we started working, I just kind of dug it up. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna kick the dust off this thing, and came up with a new chorus, a couple little lyrical tweaks here and there. And then I pitched her a bunch of songs. I was like, here's a bunch of stuff that I've written in the past. What do you think of these? And she's like, that one.
It's that one.
Yeah.
We'll make a couple tweaks to it, but it's definitely that one. Cause it hit me like, it's that song that every girl wishes was written about her. It's about this tender but tough woman. Like, she handles her business, but also she's sweet at her core, and she loves her man. She's going to stand by him. And the man singing the song respects and loves everything about her. He loves her crazy. He loves her fighter. He loves that she's tender. Like, and he's kind of celebrating this, what I think is the ultimate woman, So yeah, I'm glad it's doing well.
Yeah, definitely a great song. And let's go ahead and play My Girl here on Hank's Corners.
She ain't that good girl that likes them long walks. Dishes, she could take it, and the way she talks, she'd swear she was a sailor. I'm out to see my girl. She's on the warpath. She's a raging storm. Mess with the bull and you're gonna get the horns. You best steer clear. Don't you dare wear red round my girl. Better rein her in, that's what my friends all say. But I wouldn't have her any other way. My girl's down to get down in the middle of the night. My girl's bound to throw down if you're dumb enough to pick a fight. When we make love and she looks deep into my eyes, with that gentle touch, I know she'll always be by my side. No matter where we are, I thank my lucky star. She's my girl. Yeah, she's my girl. She's living out loud, no lost words, preaching that gospel according to her. Shoots from the hip straight, take you out, my girl. No words to describe the way she makes me feel when she cracks that wicked smile and slips behind the wheel. My girl's down to get down in the middle of the night. My girl's bound to throw down if you're dumb enough to pick a fight. When we make love and she looks deep into my eyes, with that gentle touch, I know she'll always be by my side. Yeah, no matter where we are, I thank my lucky stars. She's my girl. Yeah. She's a firecracker born without a fuse. She's my punk rock princess through and through. Yeah. My girl's down to get down in the middle of the night. My girl's bound to throw down if you're dumb enough to pick a fight. Yeah, when we make love, she looks deep into my eyes. With that gentle touch, I know she'll always be right by my side. No matter where we are, I thank my lucky stars. Yeah, no matter where we are, I thank my lucky stars. She's my girl. Yeah, yeah. Ooh. Well, if a daddy only knew all the trouble we could get into. When she gets home, there's no telling what she'll do, my girl. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. here with my special guest, Franklin Wall. That's Stephanie Wall and Dan Franklin. And you just heard their recent release, My Girl. And, you talk about that. And I got a daughter that, it kind of pictures with that because she plays baseball with the boys. Now she doesn't play softball with the girls, but she's out there rocking it. And not only that, but she does the travel baseball. So she's out there in a highly competitive environment. She is 13. This is probably going to be her last year of travel ball because now she's got to start getting ready to go into high school. So I think that song kind of just.
Fan?
I'm sorry.
You a little Marlins fan?
Actually not. All my teams go back to Philadelphia because that's where my dad's roots go, except for baseball, which is the Chicago Cubs. And the reason for that, well, the underdogs, true. That is true. I kind of, kind of consider myself an underdog as well. But the reason for that was because I was 4 or 5 years old and I used to watch cartoons on WGN. And one day, yep, Harry Carey. One day he's on there broadcasting some of the Cubs, and I'm like, what the heck is this interrupting my cartoons? And it only took that first game for me to be hooked on baseball and a Cubs fan. And believe it or not,
I love Harry Carey. I love how he called games. I had a similar experience. I mean, I'm a Giants guy, but I always had love for the Cubs because of him.
Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, I became a Cubs fan and a Bud man as well. So that's my drink of choice. And I don't know if it was really that influence when I was 5 years old, but maybe it was.
Something stuck. Yeah. Well, I'm joining the baseball club now too. So my boy is 8 years old and he has decided that he loves baseball and he's a little southpaw.
Oh,
so he's in pitching coaching right now, and he wants to do the thing. He got to meet Garrett Cole at a gig I was on recently, which was just like such a huge treat. He sent him a little video. We chatted, video wise. And so anyway, I'm new on the baseball journey, but I'm excited about it. I'm passionate about it.
Now, talking about sports, though, have you guys done the national anthem for any of the sports teams around there? Because that's one of the things that I see is that a lot of people get picked up to do national anthems. Have you done that yet?
Not yet.
I did it. I sang for the Rainers in Seattle.
Okay.
But not like I said, we just started writing back in July. And so no,
we're a little fresh on that scene, so it's definitely something to look into and talk about.
Fun,
I've done a lot of anthems for Disney marathons, if you would believe it, but not as Franklin Wall.
But
yet.
We'll pitch it for this coming season.
Pitch it. I see what she did there.
Oh, I like that.
This season would be happy to.
And you talked about the Disney marathons. I think next year I'm going to try to do the Disney 10K that's over here.
Right.
I used to be a lot better at running, but the older you get, you start getting some body aches. And for about a year or so, I had to take a break of it. But I'm starting to get back into it. Hopefully next year I'll be able to do that. But
awesome.
We talked about when I was a kid. Tell me a little bit about your backstory, and how did you guys get into music individually?
Go ahead. You started off.
Oh, bless. I've been singing since I was really little. My parents, decided that I had that bug, and I started singing and doing theater actually when I was a little kid. But I would always ride around in my sister's car with her. And at that time, she was dating a guy from Dallas. And so I remember riding around in her Honda Civic, listening, blasting K-Frog and, all of the country radio. And back when cassette tapes were a thing, she'd have her little mixtape that we'd ride around and sing. And she was best friends with Kelly Ray, who is, a California country staple. The Kelly Ray band just played everywhere. And, if you're a member of the California country community, you know who Kelly Ray and the Kelly Ray band is. And so Kelly Ray kind of took me under her wing, and I'd sit in with her at the Orange County Fair, and she'd let me sing. I'd sneak in. She'd be playing The Crazy Horse, which of course is 21 and over, but she'd let me come sneak up side stage and sit in on a song, and I'd be the little girl in the bar singing let her rip, let it fly, just going old school Dixie Chicks. But so that's kind of how I came up and fell in love with country music. Of course, my grandparents are from Oklahoma and Arkansas, so the joke is that I grew up in a Southern home in Southern California. Eating biscuits and gravy, greens, bacon grease was in everything. People thought I was gonna have a heart attack by the time I was 10, but going strong. But yeah, so I grew up country, but out here, and loving country music. And I went to college and I studied theater and went into the Broadway thing for a while. It was miserable. Happy, grateful to have had the experience. I checked the Broadway box and again, super, super grateful. Had learned a lot, grew a lot. But New York was not the place for me. It's not where my heart is. Wasn't a place for kids. So came home, and then Dan and I made the movie, and then the rest is kind of history that we talked about. We started writing shortly after COVID let up, and now here we are. Just like, I feel like it's very full circle for me to be coming back to country music. And it feels like home, and it feels like the stories that my heart has been wanting to tell while I was off gathering all this experience, I suppose. So that's kind of my story with it.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, how did you get to this point?
I ask myself that question all the time.
Yeah, the older I get, I look in the mirror and say the same thing too. So,
truth be told, country music kind of chose me. It wasn't my parents had really, really diverse musical taste growing up. But then I had a friend that used to be a DJ on a local country station in my hometown of Ukiah, California. Mm-hmm. And I used to listen to that stuff and be like, okay, kind of like it. And it just kind of wormed its way into me and kind of awoke something that I think was always there. And then I started getting calls to go out and work with country artists. The first little radio tour I did was with a girl named Kelly Coffey, who had a song called "When You Lie Next to Me" in the early 2000s. Beautiful song. You lie next to me. And then I started becoming like a radio tour guy as a guitarist accompanist. I went out with a bunch of different artists, and got to play on the Grand Ole Opry, on CMT and all that stuff, which is great. And then I ended up playing with Leanne Rhymes, and no relation to Busta Rhymes, actually. I didn't
not that I'm aware of. No,
you never know. But then it's just one of those things where country music just kind of kept coming back to me. And eventually I was like, I'm gonna do this thing. And then I started writing with, like I said, with the Drew Davis Band. And then one of my tunes, do you remember the Colgate Country Showdown?
I do not.
Okay, that was a big show before. What was the next one? Nashville Star was the next one. It was before Nashville Star.
Okay.
It was the Colgate Country Showdown. And one of my tunes won that one year. Which I thought was really great. And then
and so you've had clean teeth ever since then, right?
Yeah.
Cleanish.
Early whites. Look at those.
I need to add the star to the video if I could do that.
When you asked me to write with you, did you have a feeling that I was going to say that I wanted to write country music? I've never asked him this question, by the way. But now that we're chatting about like the coming up in country, did you have a feeling I was going to say I want to write country?
I had no doubt.
Really?
Yeah. I knew that things were going that direction. Just country music just seems like the logical place for us to be working and for us to be writing, and it's music that resonates with us. It's true. It's honest. It's stories. It's all the things we are.
Well, I, for one, glad that you guys, made those treks to get to where you are, and I'm glad to see what you're doing. And one of the songs that I like that you got out is called Seventh Heaven. Let's go ahead and play that here on Hank's Corner.
Don't know me, but I'm a sucker for a blonde who takes her whiskey neat. Saw you blow off them barflies with a roll of your eyes. But before I buzz away, give me a minute of your time. I ain't looking for forever, guessing neither are you. So let's just strip this down to the naked truth. I can tell you got a thirst you're here to satisfy. And if you like what you see, I'm happy to oblige. Baby, first let me ask if I can buy you a second. The third and the fourth are just a given, I reckon. When the fifth is finished, feeling 60 as hell, we'll be in seventh heaven for the clock strikes 12. Well, hell, took you long enough. Another minute, I was gonna have to call your bluff. You thought I might fold cook up some trouble after we pound these down. Baby, first let me ask if I can pour you a second. The third and the fourth are just a given, I reckon. When the fifth is finished, feeling 60 as hell, we'll be in seventh heaven for the clock strikes 12. Now, baby, first let me ask if I can pour you a second. The third and the fourth are just a given, I reckon. When the fifth is finished, feeling 60 as hell, we'll be in seventh heaven for the clock strikes 12. We'll be in seventh heaven for the clock strikes 12. Seventh heaven. Be in seventh heaven. Oh yeah. Be in seventh heaven.
Got me on my cloud nine.
Seventh heaven. Good loving all night. Seventh heaven.
Out on the buggy.
Baby, you're a perfect 10. Yeah. Seventh heaven for the clock strikes 12. Oh,
And you just heard Seventh Heaven by Franklin Wall here on Hank's Corner. I'm Hank Jr. Now, I heard that there's a funny story behind that song. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that tune. I remember. I lived down the hill from a little grocery store, and I was driving up the mountain to the grocery store, and I kind of had that melody kind of in my head, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. It's kind of catchy. And then I kept singing it in the grocery store, getting what I needed. I got back to the car, and I was like, huh. I kind of like those counting songs. Maybe I'll try something like that. First, what do I do? No, first, I ask if I can pour you a second. Oh, that's great. First, second. Oh, I get it. And then by the time I got to my house, the chorus existed. And I was like, this might be really cheesy. So I'm going to talk to her about it.
He pitched it to me, yeah. And
Yeah.
He's like, I got a counting song. And so the reason he pitched it to me is we were in the middle of trying to write this love ballad. And, we're like, we know we want a Faith and Tim, a big old ballad on there. So we're kind of like laboring over it. It wasn't coming very naturally. We're just kind of like struggling with like poor rhymes, and it wasn't flowing.
The word spaghetti was involved at one point.
Stop. we were trying to find a phrase of when you're ready. And then we tried to find a word that rhymed, and we couldn't get off of like, let me make you spaghetti. And we had church giggles. We're like, forget it.
It's important to have those moments when you're writing.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
And so Dan's like, I have an idea. Let's put that on the shelf for a second, and let's write a song about drinking and doing it. And I was like, sounds great. Let's do it. So he's like, I came up with a little chorus for a counting song the other day in my car, and he's like, let's just see what you think about it. And he played his like the tentative chorus, and I was like, let's run with that. So
it's a refreshing tune about kind of the anti-pickup line. It's basically just, there is no pickup line. There's just like, this is what I want.
Yeah, which is kind
of refreshing
and great. Yeah,
very straight ahead, very honest.
Yeah, the guy in the tune is just real honest. But so is she, so is the girl. So it's just a fun honky tonk bar pickup anthem kind of thing. But that one almost wrote itself. That was fun and easy.
And we had a great time shooting a music video with a bunch of friends.
Glad you played it. It's a fun one.
Yeah. And so, I want to talk a little bit about that, your videos and your photos, because, a lot of times when I get a chance, I'll do photography, as you can see, for some of the artists. Wow. But, I look at your social media, and I know it's just starting, but who is doing your photography? And then we'll talk a little bit about the video, because it is coming out really, really great.
Thank you.
Well, I'll say that, we have been blessed by kind of coming up and out of this Disney world where, there are so many talented photographers that love us and love what we do and want to help. And that's been awesome. A lot of our early photos are done by our dear friend Rachel Brogan,
phenomenal photographer,
who we're going to see again on this Sunday. We're going
Sunday.
back out in the desert to shoot some more.
Doing a desert shoot, yeah, on Sunday. Rachel Brogan, she's a wizard with light, and she just catches the moment really beautifully. She's great at like knowing when to catch a candid, and she's an amazing photographer. And then our other friend Brianna Fuller, she's been so kind to come on set when we're doing the videos and stuff. So
she shot all that back behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
From the next video you're about to show.
Yeah, and most of the stills for Wild was just Brianna bringing her camera to set and catching BTS moments. So we're so grateful to have friends and fans who want to, hey, can I come shoot while you're working? We're like, yeah, and we've gotten these incredible photos. So Rachel and Brianna, we love you. Thank you.
Yeah, and then our videos were directed. Seventh Heaven was directed by our dear friend Paul Cardinella. And then and also shot by Joy King. She was our camera op on that. And then the video you're about to show, Shouldn't I Be Wild, was shot by our friend Richard Keith and Major Latimer,
who I did a movie with. Gosh, what year was that? That was before COVID.
Yeah.
So Richard directed me in an independent film. I think it like probably might have been, yeah. No, no, it was, I think we might have been 18.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's the next number I was going to say.
He directed me in that, and he's just such a good director, and he was, available. And I was like, would you mind? Do you want to do a music video? You've never done one before. You want to do a music video? And he was like, yeah. So luckily, we're so happy it turned out well, and we've had people that just want to jump on board and help, help with the new project and the music.
Yeah, that's great. And anytime I get the opportunity, I'm going to plug the photographers and videographers and all those that a lot of times don't ever really get to be seen because they're not the ones that are actually in front of the camera. So I'm glad that you guys, plug them. So you guys are definitely now on my playlist. Tell me, who is on your playlist right now?
Boy.
Amanda Kate.
Yeah, for sure.
Amanda Kate has been on the show before. She is awesome. She is so country that it just reminds me, bring it back right to the 90s. I love her.
So she is my little sister.
Really?
Little sister by heart, not by blood.
Oh, okay.
We went to high school together. And her mom, Kathy Gibson, I'm sure you've heard of her or familiar with. She was one of the original Dean Martin Gold Diggers. She was doing music and traveling, and so Amanda was kind of didn't want to have to move schools again. And we had already like become friends. She's a couple years younger than me. And I was like, you're going to move in with me. You're going to stay with me, and your mom can travel and do the music thing, but I'm taking you. You're mine. And she was just, bless her, little freshman in high school. And she's like, okay. So we actually had legal guardianship over her. My parents were like on board, and they're like, okay, we'll take this little sweetheart in. So she lived with us all throughout high school and even past. And, and we're still, I mean, if you see any comments that I put on her social media or hers on mine, it's always, oh, Sissy, I'm so proud of you, Sissy. So, and so it's, that's she's my baby Sissy. I'm so proud of her. And she's been doing
that's awesome to know.
A while she's been at it. And now I feel like she's finally getting the attention and attraction she deserves, because bless, she's so old school country, and she's really bringing her reality to her music with the horses and everything. And I'm so stinking proud of her. And she's really kept her wits about her and kept her dignity. She's staying true to her brand, man. She's not separate. Some people have said, oh, she's too country or too old school. And she's like, well, I guess you don't want to work with me then. She's really, really stuck to her guns. And I'm just really proud of her. So she's for sure on her playlist, not just because she's my sister.
Yeah, she's definitely phenomenal.
Yeah. Obviously Presley, Payton. I listened to, gosh, what was the name of the King? What's her name that you sent me the podcast earlier? Something King Johnson. What's her first name?
Oh, Paige King Johnson. Yeah, she's been the only second person that's been on here besides Payton Howie. So.
I watched her episode, and I love that song about just like you. Ain't that just like wouldn't that be just like a man to be a loser, but isn't it just like you to like stick by me? I love that song. Anyway, so I just added her to my playlist because I some of the other stuff that she's done, and she recorded Baby Don't originally, which is great. And then it wasn't, I don't know if it wasn't getting enough anyway, but so now Amanda is covering that song. So it's
really?
A very small world, but it's large, really but it's not. So yeah.
Really crazy how everybody's connected.
Yeah, but I love her as an artist. All the stuff she's doing with agriculture, I really enjoyed her episode on your show. I thought it was really great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And how about you, Dan? What's on your playlist right now?
Man, I've been way into the latest Bela Fleck and Punch Brothers stuff. I don't know if you follow a lot of bluegrass, but all that Punch Brothers recently came out with an album called Hell on Church Street, which is a song for song cover album of Tony Rice's Church Street Blues, and it's just stinking exceptional. You know, Chris Thiele's no slouch on that mandolin, and as a mandolin player, he's, you know, kind of a deity to me. So,
and you'll hear that with our music, Hank. You'll hear that Dan is such a, he won't brag about himself, so I will. He's such a savant musically, and he's so well versed in varied country instrumentation, like including heavy bluegrass, which I think is just beautiful and lovely. So you'll hear in our tunes coming forward, there's going to be a lot of mandolin, a lot of pedal steel, a lot of there's going to be a lot of that bluegrass flavor coming through with that like pop country sensibility. But now that you've heard him say his bluegrass roots, you'll hear it more, I think, in our music, which I personally love. I think the mandolin is just so romantic and lovely, and I wish it was on the radio more.
I grew up in Northern California. Yeah. We would just open bottles of wine literally in the vineyards and just have little circles where everybody would just get their, you know, mandolins and guitars and upright basses and banjos out and just go to town.
Well, that sounds like a great time. Yeah. And so being there in California, are you out there playing the circuit?
Which
like a playing like the bars?
Are you guys out? Yeah, are you guys out there playing? Where could somebody come and see you if you are?
So February 1st, we're playing at Landers.
Right, that was last week.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I meant February 1st. We did Landers, and then we're going to be doing probably the first Wednesday of every month. There's going to be they do like Western Wednesdays, so they're going to be, you know, we're going to be doing regular nights there, and it's anywhere that we're not. We love cover bands and all the great work they do in providing entertainment. We are definitely more interested in playing our original music and getting that out there. So maybe not so much the dance hall venues, but definitely places where we can go double headline, like Beer Garden in Huntington Beach or Landers, other venues that really like want to promote original artists, where we could like double headline with Presley or Payton or, you know, another California person, JD Hardy. We're actually going to be, we're in talks with him about going out on tour. He's got 12 dates opening up for a pretty big artist. I don't think
probably can't talk
say her
about
name yet, but there's 12 dates, and they're like stadium dates. Yeah, so that will be happening late spring, early summer, and that's all funded and squared away, and we're excited to announce that as soon as we can. But as far as like local bar shows, the Landers thing in Costa Mesa is going to be a fun recurring thing.
Yeah,
and we'll definitely post on our social media anytime we have another thing like that coming up.
Yeah, so everybody definitely, you know, check out their social media to find out where they are. And, you know, you guys are giving me just another reason to get to California besides my wife saying I want to go back to Disneyland. So hopefully I can make it out that way. And who knows, maybe you can make it out to Florida. But, you know, in the meantime, if you ever want to be a guest here on Hank's Corner, you're more than welcome to do so.
We'll have to come back with the next single when Hell's next one after My Girl was called Hell's Coming With Me. Are you a Tombstone fan?
Oh, yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
It's a barn burner. It's a Tombstone reference, and it's really fun. So we'll have to come back when that one comes out.
Yeah, definitely a lot of quotes from that movie, and you know, definitely looking forward to that. And we're going to go ahead and end the podcast with "Shouldn't I Be Wild?" But thanks again for coming on the podcast. I definitely had a great time talking with you.
Thanks, you.
Hank, you're the best. Thank you so much.
I'm seeing all the signs. He looks so good on paper, even better in real life. Cabernet and candlelight, jasmine on a summer breeze. The stars have all aligned to write a future memory. Everything I hoped for, but shouldn't I be wild about those big blue eyes? staring out the window. This is all so typical me. Show me a Claude Monet and I'll show you the crooked tree. My God, he's gorgeous. Still I can't focus this. Oh, shouldn't I be wild about those big blue eyes staring back at me? Where are the butterflies, the sleepless nights, and forever dreams? It's perfect in every way, but if I can't make myself feel the same, shouldn't I be free? Shouldn't I be me? Shouldn't I be wild? Now he's got that kiss me look in his eye, and maybe I'll never find my forever, if ever after death feels quite right. Shouldn't I be right? Shouldn't I be wild about those big blue eyes staring back at me? Where are the butterflies, the sleepless nights, and forever dreams? It's perfect in every way, but if I can't make myself feel the same, shouldn't I be free? Shouldn't I be me? Shouldn't I be free? Shouldn't I be me? Shouldn't I be wild? Shouldn't I be wild? Shouldn't I be